Hey, what's going on, everybody? So here we are in the snake room again. Love this place. This is like where I come here to relax. Stressful days, I come in here and honestly, I just clean snakes and I hang out with snakes and I do everything like that. But yeah, so I just wanted to bring everybody else in here right now, just to kind of do a quick little checklist, I guess, on how the season's been going for me so far and what's really started to take place. I kind of got into a discussion with one of our latest interviewees, KB Reptiles, about how, I feel like my season's really late right now and I'm starting to get nervous and stuff like that and I get really freaked out. So when I start doing stuff like that, I like to kind of just take a step back and go off of, what has the past done for me, and obviously in this current room, we only have one season under us. We have a couple seasons previously. So what I like to do is kind of just slow myself down and kind of evaluate what I've done. And having said that, I just kind of was going over some of my fact checks and some of the things that I feel like I could have done better and so that I could improve on in the near future, obviously, because I feel like the only really good way to improve upon what you've done is to really kind of get in there and evaluate it. So I think this year, some of the couple of things that I feel like I improved on was I brought in the thermostat so I could control the temperature of the entire room instead of kind of letting this room be at the mercy of its environment. So the facility like I have here isn't insulated very well at all. So it's like the ambient air in here is super dependent on the ambient air outside. And in Arizona, we have some huge swings. It's weird to say that, but I mean, it can be like 99 degrees in the day and like 35 at night, like 40 degrees at night. Like it's a huge temperature swing. So to have that temperature swing always going on here, it's kind of a bummer. So I finally picked up the space heater and the thermostat so I can control the space heater's output. So I feel like that was a really good move. So I try to keep it a consistent 81 degrees in here throughout the winter and stuff like that. So, and then my hot spots and everything else like that are like in between 88, 90 degrees right in there. Some of them I feel like on the lower parts of the rack. The lower parts of the rack are usually cooler. Some of those are down in like the 86s, I feel like, on the hot spots. But yeah, so I think that was really good. The only thing I feel like I screwed up this year is I didn't feed as heavily as I did in the past. I don't really have an excuse for that. I really heavily fed last season. Like, I feel like I was in here feeding like 2 to 3 times a week almost, like constantly in here feeding. And I didn't do that this year. And so I'm really curious as if that has kind of set some of these girls back in their breeding cycle, and maybe that's why it's taking later and later this year. So I don't know, it's just kind of something to think about. But having said that, we do have our first tub upgrades for the hatchlings of last year. So kind of wanted to just check those guys out real quick and then, talk about, I guess, I feel like a fairly, it's not a unique way of doing it, but I feel like something that's not really talked about a lot of times is when to move hatchlings up to different size tubs and et cetera. So yeah, let's check out those hatchlings really quick. So what I do is I just go to the V70 tubs, the adult ball python tubs, and I basically split them down the middle. So as you can see here, I have the, let's see, try not to get in the light. I have the Fire Don't Know Pied Posset Clown right there. Hatchling just moved up to this here rack. And then I split it with the, oh, look at that, she's shedded. New skin right here, new skin. The Fire Clown Pie. I mean, dang. Look at that freaking girl. That thing is gorgeous. She is so pretty. She has just gotten brighter and brighter every time she sheds. But yeah, that's really that fire influence, just making her a whole lot brighter. This is, gosh, I couldn't be happier with this girl right here. But everybody, everybody that watches this channel knows that's for sure. I love, that's Little Lee. I love that snake. We didn't know if we were gonna make it there and then to hit the odds alone. But anyways, nonsense. So yeah, what I do is I just do that. So then I I feel like that gives them a lot more room to move straight up. Like that's really long, and it's similar to the length that they're eventually gonna live in anyways. So it saves a lot more money because now what I can do is I can just split this 8-slot rack I have here, this PVC rack, and gets, 16 tubs out of it. So it's like you got to pick and choose your battles, and that was one of the ones I was like, this is probably the most effective way for me to do this. And the snakes love it. They transition really well, and so I couldn't be more pumped on that, how that's all kind of worked out, because that does save a lot of money. Because it's a pain to have a hatchling rack, a grow up rack, and then an adult rack. That's that's just a ton of space for somebody like me who doesn't really have that much space. So I'm trying to work with what I got here. So that has been instrumental around here. But having said that, super pumped on the progress. I feel like they're really starting to put on weight, especially that Fire Pied. She eats every. I think I can feed her every day probably. It's unreal how much that snake eats. But yeah, I don't know, kind of a quick little topic, I guess, on when to move the snakes up or down or over or stuff like that. So I have my snakes in the Freedom Breeder 80 tubs. They're the same length as the Freedom Breeder 70s, but they're just a little taller to get kind of those bigger females a little more room in their tubs. And that's sort of what I like to do with these animals, is I like to get them in the biggest tubs that they are comfortable in. I wouldn't mind maybe switching over someday to one of the bigger sized racks that they have for like their small boa species and stuff like that. I think that would be something interesting to try. Having said that though, I know these animals really do like their small, tight places, and that's why I do supply, usually in most of my tubs, hides for them, because I feel like that really helps out. So I think maybe in a bigger cage, if they had a hide, maybe they would feel secure, and then the ability to maybe like stretch out and move around a little better. I don't know. But I guess my point is I always like to err on the side of too big, because I want the snake's lives to be as highly enriched as it can be, as much as I can physically provide for it. And the other thing, I guess, like, these are all like just my random philosophies. The other thing behind that is, I like putting them in the bigger size tubs sooner, because I like to get them into their cages that they're gonna be in when they're an adult as quick as they can, because I feel like if they get comfortable there quicker, their feeding response is eventually gonna be just through the roof, because that's where they've never left. They've always been here, so I feel like that like builds a lot of confidence in the animals too. So I don't know, just I guess some food for thought and a random rant about snake tubs and sizes and etc. A quick little announcement. This coming Wednesday, our live interview is with Garrett Hartle from Reach Out Reptiles. Super excited to talk to him. The Super Dwarfs, wow, they're like, I feel like they're the next big thing, right? And their retics are gorgeous. They're just so pretty, and they're smart, and they're interactive. They're just such a cool snake, they're awesome. And then if we can get them to be really small, that's like the best. That's the best. And he is, in my opinion, leading the way for the Super Dwarf projects. And as far as like getting information out to the people about these projects, he's just doing incredible work. So super excited to have him on the show. That'll be on Adam's channel at Beach Bum Exotics. Get over there, sub to his channel so you always get updated when we swap back and forth between these live streams. And thank you all so much for the continued support. I've been a little lackluster. I need to get a little better at answering questions back on these channels. I've kind of gotten ahead of myself in a lot of different areas in life, so I'm getting a little too busy, and I need to reorganize myself to dedicate to the stuff that I actually like doing. But I just want to thank you all again for jumping in. So if you're still here and you haven't subscribed, jump on down there and hit that subscribe button because it makes me feel special, basically. That's why. So anyways, hope you're all having a great night, morning, evening, whenever you may be watching this. Thank you so much again, and see ya.